Story of Prahlad, the great devotee. Pious virtues of Prahlad, the youngest son of the demon king Hiranyakashipu. Prahlad was very virtuous. He used to serve the sages with love. He treated all the beings equally and did never differentiate them as separate from him. He had a respect for the elders. Despite having knowledge, wealth, beauty, and nobility, Prahlad didn't have any ego. He never lost patience even in most adverse conditions. He also regarded the world as false and worthless. He had no desire for anything, but had full restraint on his mind, organ, breath, and body. Despite having born in demon family, he didn't have any demonic virtues. Narada says, O Yudhishthira, as the virtues of the god are endless, similarly the virtues of Prahlad had no limit. But a natural and congenital love for Lord Sri Krishna was his greatest merit. Since his childhood, Prahlad had no inclination for childish plays. Often he used to meditate silently. During his meditation, he used to become quite motionless. More than often he felt as if God himself was fondling him, taking him in his lap. At times when he experienced an absence of God, Prahlad would cry loudly, and at other times he would laugh with joy seeing God before him. He also used to sing, shout and even dance whenever he felt God nearby. Occasionally, Prahlad used to mimic God, or feeling the soft touch of God, sit peacefully without movement. Such was the trance-like condition of Prahlad, who had a complete submersion in devotion for God. Shukracharya was the teacher of the demons. Sukracharya's 2 sons had been appointed to teach the boys of the royal family. Staying at a place closer to the royal palace, these 2 brothers taught the boys in politics, economics, etc. Prahlad too was sent to them for formal education. There he used to listen to his teachers carefully and recite what he had been taught. But Prahlad did not like the education, which was based on falsehood. One day Hiranyakashipu took Prahlad in his lap and asked lovingly, "My son, tell me, what you like the most?" Prahlad said, "Father, in my opinion, this world is nothing but full of sorrow. Hence it is just for every being that they should give up this blind pit-like world and go to the forests and take shelter in God, to be free of miseries." Alarmed by these words, Hiranyakashipu warned the teachers, the sons of Shukracharya, to look after Prahlad well, and to remove that mean thoughts of devotion from his mind. He also cautioned the teachers to guard Prahlad against any possible approach by a god, ascetic or Brahman. Guruputras, the teacher of Prahlad, tried their best and trained Prahlad in policies of Sama, Dhamma, Dand, Bhed, conviction, temptation, fear of punishment and partiality. Then they trained him in Arth, Dharma and Kama, economic matters, religion and carnal knowledge. When they felt satisfied with their efforts, the Guruputras brought Prahlad again to his father, the demon king Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu kissed Prahlad's head and took him in his lap and asked, "My son Prahlad, tell me in detail what you have learned from your teacher during your stay with them." Prahlad said, "Father, there are 9 kinds of devotion for Lord Vishnu. If one develops these 9 kinds of devotion with dedication, I understand, it would be the best education." Infuriated by these words, Hiranyakashipu threw Prahlad on the floor and began to scoff at Guruputras. Hearing his father scoffing at Guruputras, Prahlad said, "Father, it was not taught to me by them, it is my natural inclination." These words further infuriated Hiranyakashipu. Blinded by anger, he ordered his soldiers to kill Prahlad at once. Formidable demons hit Prahlad with their arms. At that time Prahlad's conscience was focused in God. All the blows of the demons yielded no result. Thereafter, Prahlad was trampled by intoxicated elephants, bitten by poisonous snakes, thrown from the high cliffs into the sea, and even in fire, buried under the mountain, but all in vain. None of the attempts could do any harm to the sinless Prahlad. Now, Hiranyakashipu began to feel worried because of his inability. Seeing him worried, the teacher assured him, "Be free of worries, O king. Keep your son tied in Varunapush, the news of Varuna, until our father Shukracharya returns." Then they again took Prahlad to their hermitage to teach him Grihesatadharma, duties of a married man. One day the teachers were away for some urgent work. Prahlad called his classmates and began to preach them about Lord Vishnu. Preaching to demon boys by Prahlad. Prahlad preached, "Friends, human incarnation is a rare thing in this world. So taking shelter at the feet of God in this human incarnation is a success for life. Brothers, God is the friend, beloved, and the soul of each and every being. Sensual pleasures are easily available in every incarnation, so it is useless to make physical efforts to achieve sensual pleasures. But this human body is a means to get God. So, as long as the body is sound and healthy and it has strength, one must work for his benefits. Half of the life of a man is simply wasted in sleeping. First 20 years pass in playing, young age passes in satisfying the ego, while during the 20 years of old age human body becomes crippled. So friends, don't waste your life running after the physical pleasures, luxuries, wealth and all that leads to a certain fall. One needs not work hard to please the God. He is soul of every living being. He is self-achieved. Only do good to every living being, be kind to them unconditionally. God is pleased with these actions only." Impressed by the beautiful preaching of Prahlad about Bhagavad Dharma, the demon boys asked, "O Prince, you have never been away from the hermitage. How then did you get such a knowledge at such a raw age?" Prahlad told his fellow disciples that when his father was away on Mandarachal for penance, Indra had kidnapped his mother Kayadu. He was taking her to Devloka when Devarshi Narada stopped him in the way and asked why he was taking such a helpless woman so forcibly. Indra had told then that he would destroy her fetus, who was going to be a demon, and thereafter would let her go. Narada had said, "Devaraj, there is a great devotee of God in this fetus, you cannot kill him. But you need not fear him." Thus convinced by Narada, Indra had released Kayadu, who then came to stay at Narada's hermitage to pass her time. In the pious company of Narada, who, with a desire to benefit my mother and me, had preached us about Bhagavad Dharma, and absolute knowledge, Vishuddha Jnana. It is that knowledge which I have preached you just now. God is pleased with unconditional love only. So you too develop devotion for God. Chapter 8 Description of Manvataras. 1. Swayambhu Manvantara. King Parikshit said to Shukdev, "Gurudev, I just heard that tale of self-begotten Manu's lineage. Now kindly describe to me about the others Manus. Also describe the place of God's different incarnations which occurred during different Manvantaras." Shukdev said, "Parikshit, during Tamas Manvantara, Lord Narayana was born as Hari incarnation from Harini, the wife of a sage. In that incarnation he saved an elephant from the jaws of a crocodile. During the present Kalpa, period comprising the sum of all the 4 yugas, 6 Manvantaras have passed. I have described the first one. Now, Listen to the description of the other Manvantaras. 2. Swarochish Manvantara. Swarochi Manu was the son of Agni. He had sons named the Yumana, Sushana and Rachismanda. During that Manvantara, Indra's post was occupied by Rochan. Scholars of Vedas like Vrajstambh etc. were among the Saptarishi, 7 great sages. Lord had taken incarnation as Vibhu, the son of a sage Vedshira and his wife Tushita. Vibhu remained a loyal celibate lifelong. Following his conduct, 88,000 more sages observed celibacy lifelong. 3. Uttam Manvantara. 3rd Manu. Uttam was the son of the king Priyavrata. He had sons named Pavan, Sanjay, Yajaihotra, etc. In that Manvanta, 7 sons of the sage Vashishtha were Saptarishi, the 7 great sages. Indra's name was Satyajit. Satya, Vedshruth and Bhadra were the main ganas, courtiers, of the god. God had appeared in the incarnation of Satyasen, the son of Dharma and Sunritha. He was accompanied by Devganas named Satyavrata. Lord had destroyed during that period the evil yakshas, demon and poltergeists. 4. Tamas Manvantara. Tamas, the 4th Manu was the real brother of Uttam, the 3rd Manu. He had 10 sons. Trishik was Indra then, with Satyak, Hari, Veer etc. as his main courtiers. Sage like Jyotirdham etc. were the Saptarishi. During that Manvantara, Lord had saved Gajendra from the jaws of the crocodile. 5. Raivat Manvantara. Raivas was the 5th Manu. He was also the real brother of Tamas, the 3rd Manu. He had many sons. Vibhu was the name of Indra. Sages like Hiraniroma, Vedshira, Urdhubahim were among Saptarishi. God had appeared in the incarnation of Vaikuntha, the son of the sage Shubh and his wife Vaikuntha. At the request of goddess Lakshmi, Lord Vaikuntha created Vaikuntha Dham, the best among all other lokas, worlds. 6. Chakshush Manvantara. Chakshush was the 6th Manu. He had sons named Puru, Purusha, Sedyumna etc. Mantradruma was Indra then, with Apya etc. as main courtiers. Sages like Havishmana and Vika etc. were among the Saptarishi. During that Manvantara, Lord had appeared in partial incarnation as Ajit, the son of Vanraj and his wife Sambunti. It was he who caused the churning of the sea and made the gods drink nectar and supported Mandarachal mountain on his back in Kachchap, tortoise, from during the churning. 7. Vavaswata Manvantara. Shri Shukdev says, Parikshit in the present era, the 7th Manu, Shargdev is the son of Surya. He has 10 sons Ikshvku, Nabag, Drisht, Sharyati, Narishanta, Nabag, Disht, Karush, Parishadra and Vasumna. Purnadar is the name of Indra. He has Aditya, Vasu, Rudra, Vishwadev, Marugana, Ashwini, Kumar and Rishi as his main courtiers. Kashyapa, Atri, Vashishtha, Vishwamitra, Gautam, Jamdagni and Bharadvaj are the Saptarishi. During this Manvantara, God has arrived in Vaman incarnation as the son of Kashyapa and his wife Aditi. 8. Savarni Manvantara. Savarni, the son of Surya and Chaya would be the 8th Manu. The king Surat, who had occurred in Swarachish Manvantara, had worshipped goddess Bhagwati intensely, and thus received a boon of having an unbroken empire on earth. In later course he will be the son of Surya and become the 8th Manu also. He would have sons like Nirmaka, Virajask etc. Varochna Bali would be Indra, Amrita Prabha etc. as his main courtiers. Galava, Diptimana, Parshuram, Ashwathama, Kripacharya, Rishi Sring and Vyasa, these great sages, would be the Saptarishi during the 8th Manvantara. God would take incarnation as Sarvabhauma, the sons of Dev Guhaya and his wife Saraswati. God as Sarvabhauma would snatch the kingdom of Swaga, heaven, from Purnadara Indra and give it to the king Bali. 9th Manvantara, Shri Shukdev says, Varuna's son Dakshaswani would be the 9th Manu. He would have sons like Bhuteketu, Diptketu, Dyutimana etc. God would take birth as the incarnation of Rishabh, the son of sage Ayushmana and his wife Ambudhara. A person named Adbhut would be Indra and he would have Para, Marichigab etc. as his main courtiers. 10. The 10th Manvantara, Apshloksa's son Brahma Savarni would be the 10th Manu. He would be very pious in nature and have sons like Bhurishen etc. Havishmana, Sukriti, Satya, Jal, Murti etc. would be Saptarishi. Shambhu would be Indra, with Suvasna, Virudh etc. as his main courtiers. God would appear in the incarnation of Vishwasen as the son of Vishwasrij and his wife Vishuchi. He would be a friend of Indra. 11. The 11th Manvantara, the self-restraining Dharmaswani would be the 11th Manu. He would have 10 sons. Vadrita would be Indra with Vihangama, Kamagama, etc. as main courtiers. Vedic sages like Arun etc. would be the Saptarishi. God would appear as Dharmasetu, the sons of Ayak and Vadrita. In this incarnation he would protect Triloki, all the 3 worlds. 12th Manvantara, Rudraswani would be the 12th Manu. He would have sons named Devvana, Updev and Devashresht etc. Riddhama would be Indra with Hari etc. as his main courtiers. As the son of Satyashai and his wife Sunrita, the god would protect this Manvantara in the form of Swadham. 13th Manvantara, Dev Savarni would be the 13th Manvantara. He would have sons named Chitrasen, Vichitra etc. Devaspati would be Indra of the gods like Sukam, Sutram etc. Sages like Nemoka, Tattvadash etc. would be the Saptarishi. God would appear as Yogeshwar, the sons of Devhotra and his wife Brihati. He would bestow the designation of Indra to Devaspati. 14th Manvantara, Indraswami would be the 14th Manu. He would have sons like Uru, Gambhir Buddhi etc. Shuchi would be Indra and have Pavitra Chakshush etc. as his main courtiers. Agni, Bahu, Shuchi, Magad etc. would be the Saptarishi. God would appear in the incarnation of Brihadbahu as the son of Satrayana and his wife Vinta and cause the extension of Karmakand, actions. Shukdev says, O Parikshit, these 14 Manvantaras had continued in past, are continuing in the present and they would continue in the future also. It is by them that a kalpa, a period of 1000 Chaturyugas, is completed. Calculation of time is also done through these Manvantaras. Period of a Manvantara is slightly more than 71 Chaturyugas, all the 4 yugas passing 71 times. A Chaturyugya, period of all the 4 yugas taken together, lasts for about 3 million years, while a kalpa lasts for about 4,320 million years. This is equal to a day of Brahma. Brahma's night is Mahapralaya, the great deluge. When that night is over, Brahma again begins the work of new creation exactly as per the previous kalpa. Carrying out this responsibility continuously for a century, Brahma goes back to Bhagwat Dham, the abode of Lord Vishnu. His responsibilities are taken over by the next Brahma, who carries out the work of creation, by the inspiration of Lord Narayana. Tale of Gajendra the elephant and Grah, The crocodile king Parikshit asked, Muniva, God had saved Gajendra, in his hurry incarnation. I wish to hear this tale. Shukdev says, O king, in Tamas Manvantara, God had appeared as Hari and saved Gajendra from the jaws of Grah the crocodile. I am narrating the tale to you, listen to it carefully. Surrounded by Kshiyasagar, there was a high mountain named Trikuta. In the dense forest on the mountain there lived Gajendra along with his harem of many cows. Gajendra was the king of many big and strong elephants. One day, Gajendra was passing his time playfully with his family in the forests. It was very hot that day. So, perplexed by the sun, Gajendra descended down the mountain with his family. At the foothills, there was a big lake with deep, cold water and many lotuses blooming in it. Gajendra entered the lake and drank water to his fill. Then he took bath and started to play in the water. His activities in the water disturbed the crocodile who lived there. With anger, the crocodile caught hold of Gajendra's leg. Startled by the sudden attack, Gajendra put all his might to get free, but in vain. They only jostled against each other for long. Every moment, crocodile's strength seemed to be gaining. At last, because of constant pulling into water, Gajendra's strength gave away. Now, he was very desperate and thought that God has sent the crocodile as a news of death, for him. This thought horrified the elephant, so he decided to take refuge at Sri Hari. Gajendra had the memory of his previous birth fresh. So concentrating his mind in the beautiful appearance of God, he began to pray, I take refuge at God, who is the base of the entire world, who is the ultimate refuge for everyone. It is difficult to unfold the mysteries of his place. He takes many guises. Not even the sages and the gods know his appearance and glory. May such a Lord protect me. O Lord, your powers are unending. You are gracious to those who take refuge in you. Illusioned by you, this humble creature does not recognize you. O Lord, I am in your refuge. Shukdev says, Parikshit, Gajendra had prayed God impartially and unspecifically, so other gods did not come to save him. Being the soul of everyone, Lord Sri Hari appeared himself and saw Gajendra in deep crisis. When Gajendra saw that Lord Sri Hari had arrived on his vehicle Garuda from the sky, he picked a lotus from the lake and raised it in his trunk and said, O Jagdishwar, God of all world, Narayana, here is a salutation for you. By then Lord jumped down from the Garuda and dragged both of them out of water. Then he tore the jaws of the crocodile by his wheel and saved Gajendra. All the gods, Brahma and Lord Shiva worshipped God and showered flowers on him. Previous births of Gaja and Grah killed by the god, the crocodile at once acquired a divine appearance. He was a good-natured Gandharv, demigod, named Huhu, in his previous birth. By the curse of Mahatma Deval, he had to take birth in crocodile form. But now, by the grace of God, he was saved and went to his heavenly abode. Gajendra too received salvation by mere touch of God. He too went to the heavenly abode of God. In his previous birth, Gajendra was a king of Pandya dynasty. His name was Indradyumna. He was a fervent devotee of God. So he had abandoned his kingdom and taken to penance on Malai mountain. One day he was engrossed in his worship when sage Agastya arrived there with his disciples. For not getting due welcome from the king, Agastya cursed him, "You with a dull mind, who neglect his guests will be born as an elephant." But even in elephant incarnation, and by the virtues of his devotion, Gajendra retained the memory of his previous birth. God appointed him as his courtier and departed to his divine abode riding on Garuda. Churning of the sea. King Parikshit asked, "O great sage, how did God cause churning of the sea? What was the purpose behind it? Kindly tell me." Shukdev says, "Parikshit, in the 6th Chakshush Manvantara, the demons King Bali had defeated the gods. Indra had also lost his glory by insulting the garland which sage Durvasa had presented to him as a god's gift. Indra had put the garland in elephant's neck and then got it crushed under its feet. But now, having lost his kingdom and struck by misfortune, Indra and other gods with Brahma prayed to the Lord. Melted by their prayers, God appeared before them. All the gods laid before him and worshipped. The omnipotent God inspired the gods to churn the sea. Lord asked the gods to churn the sea and produce nectar. He also advised them to take the help of demons in that great task. Drinking the nectar, one becomes immortal. God asked the gods to put various medicinal plants and vegetations in Kshirosagar, sea of milk, and churn it by Mandarachal mountain, moving it with the help of Vasuki the Naga. God promised them of all help from his part. Thereafter, Indra and other gods went unarmed to the demon king Bali and told him of their intention. Demons too liked the idea. With a friendly attitude, then the gods and the demons together uprooted the Mount Mandarachal. But they could not carry it to the sea. Lord appeared on Garuda and carried the mountain to the sea. The gods and demons had promised Vasuki, the Naga, his due share in the nectar. So Vasuki allowed them to use him as a rope, wound around Mandarachal as a means to move it. In the incarnation of Ajit, Lord told the gods to hold the head of Vasuki. But the demons, suspecting some mischief, said they would hold the head and asked the gods to hold the Naga from the tail for churning. Thus the gods held the tail while the demons took hold of Vasuki's head. Thus they began the churning. But as soon as the churning began, the mountain started sinking for not having a firm base. Lord then took Kachchap, tortoise, incarnation, and supported Mandarachal on his back. On the mountain also Lord appeared in Sahasrabahu form, and held it. The gods and the demons churned the sea for long, but nothing emerged. So, Lord Ajit himself began to churn the sea. First of all, it was halahal, the deadly poison, to emerge. The intensity of the poison began to torment every being. To save their subjects from it, Prajapatis prayed Lord Shiva. The life-giver, Lord Bholenath, an epithet of Lord Shiva, drank all the poison. By the impact of the poison, Lord Shiva's throat turned blue in color. Hence Lord Shiva got the name Nilkantha. Emergence of gems and nectar. After Lord Shiva drank the poison, the gods and the demons began to churn the sea again with greater enthusiasm. Now, Kamdenu, the divine cow, emerged. She was useful for yagya etc., so the sages received it. Then a horse named Uchchashrava emerged and taken up by Bali, the king of demons. The horse was followed by Airavati elephant. Indra took it. The divine gem, Kaustubh money, emerged then. Lord Ajit took it on his chest. Then emerged the Kalpavriksha, the divine tree that reached the heavens. Then the Apsaras emerged. They all accepted to serve Indra in heaven. Goddess Lakshmi emerged after the Apsaras. All the azimuths were lighted because of her brilliance. Everyone was attracted towards her beauty, generosity, youthfulness, appearance, and glory. Devaraj Indra presented a throne for her to sit. Rivers brought water for her ceremonial bath. The earth presented medicinal bath. Cows gave panchaganyas and vasant, spring, presented many kinds of fruits and flowers. The sages welcomed Lakshmi with Rigsuktas, hymns of Rigveda. Gandharvas sang in her praise. Then taking the lotus in her hand, Lakshmi took a seat on the throne. She adorned her with a beautiful silk sari. Varuna presented a garland. Saraswati gifted her with a necklace of pearls. Brahma presented lotus while Nagas presented 2 earrings. After the singing by Brahmins in her praise, Lakshmi took lotus garland in her hand and put it around Lord Vishnu's neck in a gesture of accepting him as her husband. Jatapita, Lord Vishnu too gave Lakshmi a supreme position in his heart. Lakshmi was followed by Varuna, who was taken up by the demons. The gods and the demons began to churn the sea again. At last Lord Dhanvantari emerged with an urn of nectar. It was Dhanvantari who developed Ayurveda, the ancient Indian system of medicine. As soon as the demons saw the urn, they snatched it and ran away. A row then began among the demons over the drinking of nectar. Consoling the gods, Lord appeared among the demons in the guise of an extremely pretty woman, Mohini. Distribution of nectar by Lord as Mohini. The demons who were fighting over the portions of nectar forgot everything when they saw Mohini, who was actually a guise of Lord Vishnu. Lured by her prettiness, the demons came to Mohini and requested her to solve the dispute for them. Illusioned by God, the demons even gave the nectar to Mohini and sat peacefully, showing their confidence in her. In Mohini's guise, Lord thought that the demons were congenitally cruel and giving nectar to them would be akin to feeding snakes with milk. Their evils would increase. So, Mohini offered the nectar to the gods only while offered wine to the demons. When the nectar was being distributed, a demon named Rahu took the guise of a god and sitting among them drank the nectar. Surya and Chandra spotted him and revealed his identity to God, who at once beheaded him. But, by then Rahu had drunk enough nectar. Conquering of Heaven by King Bali. Shukdev says, Parikshit, by the virtues of the ambrosia, the gods had become invincible. They began to take revenge and the demon king Bali met his death in the battle. When Brahma saw the imminent extermination of the demons, he sent Devarshi Narada in the battlefield to make the gods abstain from the war. The surviving demons carried the dead Bali towards Astachal. There, Shukracharya, the teacher of the demons, resurrected all the demons with his Sanjeevani Vidya, knowledge that resurrects the dead. Thus obligated, the demon king Bali dedicated all his wealth to Shukracharya and began to serve him and other Brahmins of Bhrigu clan. By the service of the demons, the Brahmins of Bhrigu clan got very much pleased. King Bali had a long cherished desire of conquering the heaven. So the Brahmins organized a Vishvyat Yagya for Bali. At the completion of Yagya, first emerged a beautiful chariot, all covered with gold. Then green-colored horses, inexhaustible quiver and a divine shield emerged in sequence from the altar. Bali's grandfather Prahlad presented him a garland while Shukracharya gave a conch. Thus receiving all the weaponaries, King Bali took oath and circumambulated Brahmins. Thereafter, greeting them, he boarded the chariot followed by powerful demons and their huge armies. Thus fully prepared, Bali launched a massive attack on the heaven. When Indra saw that Bali had come with full preparation and that his armies had surrounded Amravati, he went to his teacher Brihaspati and asked about the reason for the demons' sudden uprising. Devguru said, Indra, blessing of Bhrigu Brahmins is the main reason of the demons' uprising. You can't face the demon armies yet, because Kal himself is in their favor. So you all abandon the heaven and hide somewhere. After the abdication of the heaven by the gods, Bali captured it. Then he conquered all the three worlds. With advice of his priests, Bali organized 100 Ashwamedh Yagyas. Thus by the grace of Shukracharya and other Brahmins of Bhrigu clan, King Bali got the domain of the heaven and began to rule it generously. Preaching of Payovrata to Aditi by Kashyapa, Sri Shukdev says, O Parikshit, Aditi, mother of the gods, felt very sorry for the gods and capture of the heaven by the demons. When sage Kashyapa visited Aditi's hermitage, he saw his wife in desperate mood. On inquiring about the reason, Aditi said, Lord, by your grace my married life is running well. But I am sorry for the pitiable condition of my sons, the gods. Strong demons have snatched their abode. So kindly tell me the remedy. At her request Kashyapa preached Aditi about a worship named Payovrat, to seek the blessing god. This worship, Payovrat, is carried out during the waxing phase of the month Falgun, that correspond to February-March months in Gregorian calendar, for 12 days continuously. One must drink milk only during the worship. One day before starting the vrat, that is on the day of Amvasya, moonless night, one must smear his body with the earth dug out by the boars and take bath in the river. Then, one must worship God with Shodushopcha, 16 treatments, while following the rules prescribed for daily routine. He must recite Dwadashakshari mantra, hymn containing 12 letters, perform havan with kheer, rice cooked in milk, and distribute nivadya, remaining food from havan, among the devotees. Reciting the 12-lettered hymn, one must tell the rosary string at least once about the wish. Thus, the same worship must be performed for 12 days continuously. If one feeds a Brahman daily during the vrat, he can be sure of God's grace. Mother of the gods, Aditi performed Payovrat as per the advice of her husband Kashyapa. Pleased by her vrat, the Lord appeared before her in Chaturbhuj, four-armed form. Mother Aditi laid flat on the ground to greet the god. She prayed, O Lord, you are the god of Yagya, and Yagya yourself. Those who take refuge at your feet are saved when you are pleased, nothing remains ungettable. Lord said, O Mother of the gods, I know about your desire. You have worshipped me for your sons, but it is difficult yet to defeat the demons. But because of your worship, I will protect your sons by becoming your child. Woman incarnation of God. When the Lord arrived in Aditi's womb, Brahma prayed to him. By Brahma's prayers, the unborn God appeared before Aditi. Shukdev says, O Parikshit, on the 12th day of the waxing phase of Bhadrapada month, corresponding to September, Lord took birth in Abhijit Muhurta. Everywhere, everybody celebrated the arrival of God with joy. The gods showered flowers on him. The god had arrived in Vaman, dwarf, form. His countenance appearance caused tremendous joy for the sages. During Upnayan consecration of Lord, the ruling deity of the Gayatri mantra, Savitri, an epithet for Surya, preached him the hymn. Guru gave him Yadupavit, Kashyapa gave neckerchief, the earth gave black buckskin, Chandra gave scepter, Mother gave loincloth, the sky gave umbrella, Brahma gave kamandalu, coconut shell ball, Saptrishi gave kush, sacred grass, while goddess Saraswati presented God with a string of rosaries. Yaksharaj, king of Yakshas, Kuber gave him the alms bowl and Mother Annapurna gave him alms. Thus everyone paid due respect to God in Vaman, dwarf, incarnation who was radiating with divine glory. Lord Vaman was intimated that the king Bali was performing many Ashwamedha yagas with Bhrigu Brahmins. He at once left for the yaga site, at a place named Brigukach on the banks of the river Narmada. As soon as Lord Vaman reached the site, all the sages, hosts and others present there became dull before the radiance of God. They felt as if Surya himself had arisen there. Everyone stood up to welcome God. Host Bali offered him the best seat and washed his feet with affection. Then Bali requested God for his service. Demanding 3 steps of land by Vaman, King Bali requested, "O Brahman, now tell me how I can serve you. You are the tangible representation of the penance of Brahmarishis. By your arrival, all my ancestors are saved, my clan is blessed, my yajna has succeeded. Ask me whatever you wish. I am ready to give you your desired object." Hearing the pious talk of the King Bali, Lord Vaman blessed him and said, "O King, no one have been impatient and frugal in your clan. Reputation of your grandfather Prahlad is still alive. Your great-grandfather Hiranyakashipu had chased the illusionary Vishnu who had hid in your great-grandfather's heart itself. When the infuriated Hiranyakashipu could not find Vishnu anywhere in all the 3 worlds, he presumed that Vishnu had died because of his fear alone. O King," continued Lord Vaman, "you are excellent among the religious people. O Demon King, you can fulfill any great desire. But I demand only as much land as could be covered in 3 steps of mine. I need nothing else." King Bali said, "O Batu, dwarf Brahman, you talk like aged persons but your mind is childish. I am the ruler of all the 3 worlds, and you are asking for 3 steps of land only. You can still ask for anything else." Lord Vaman replied, "O King, greedy ones are not sated even if they get hold of the earth. But I don't want more than my requirement." King Bali agreed to donate Vaman the land as per his demands and picked up the water pot to make resolution. When Guru Shukracharya saw that Bali had agreed to donate land, he tried to persuade him, "O Bali, this Vaman is none other than indestructible Lord Vishnu. He has taken incarnation of Vaman as a son of Aditi, Kashyapa's wife, in the interest of the gods. Unknowingly you have made a promise to fulfill his desire. But he will snatch everything from you and hand it over to Indra. This illusionary Batu will measure whole of your empire in all the 3 worlds with his 2 steps, so you will not be able to keep your promise also. Hence, show your inability to make donation as per his demand, send him back." Measuring of earth's heaven by Vaman, Shukdev says, Parikshit with politeness King Bali asserted to his teacher, "Gurudev, your words are true. But I am the grandson of great Prahlad. Now I cannot reverse my promise. No religion is greater than truth. I am not afraid of any calamity except of deceiving a Brahman." When Shukracharya saw that his disciple Bali was determined to violate his dictate, he cursed, "O King, soon you will be devoid of the wealth you have been enjoying." But despite having been cursed by his teacher, Bali stayed firm to his promise. Worshipping Vaman formally, he took some water on his palm and made the promise to donate land. As soon as Bali made the promise, Lord Vaman assumed a gigantic appearance and measured Bali's entire empire in his steps. In first he measured the whole of the earth. In the next he measured the heaven. The second step itself reached Satyalok, where Brahma had once washed Lord's feet and kept the water, in a kamandalu, a bowl of coconut shell, that came on earth later as the river Ganges. Now there was no room for God to put his third step. Lord ridiculed Bali for not keeping his promise fully. "Your everything is mine now, but your promise is still incomplete." Shukdev says Lord ridiculed Bali but he remained unmoved with patience. He said, "O Lord, I keep my promise fully, you put your third step on my head. I don't want a blemish on my reputation." Lord said, "I snatch all the wealth from people who are bestowed with my grace. They then become an inseparable devotee of me, free from every blemish." Thus Lord Vishnu gave Bali the empire of Sutaloka, Hades, that was even richer than the heaven, and said, "I will protect you there from all the obstacles. Your 100th Ashwamedh Yagya shall be completed. In due course of time you shall be the king of the heaven." This way, without fighting a battle, Lord took the empire of heaven from the demons and gave it to his brother Indra. Tale of Matsyavata. King Parikshit asked, "O Gurudev, Lord is omnipotent. Why did he then take Matsyavata like an ordinary being bound by karma? I want to hear the tale of God's Matsyavata." Shukdev said, "O Parikshit, God is one. Still, for the preservation of his devotees, he takes various incarnations. He also shows his place by being present in all the creatures. But he remains unaffected by the merits and demerits of those living beings." Parikshit, at the end of last kalpa, Brahma had fallen asleep, causing a pralaya. All the worlds had been inundated then. When Brahma had fallen asleep, Vedas fell out from his open mouth. A demon Hayagriva abducted the Vedas by his illusionary powers. Omnipotent God had known the action of the demon. So he had to take Matsyavata, fish incarnation. There was a king named Satyavrat during that time. He was very generous and great devotee of God. Sustaining himself on water only, the king was observing severe penance. The same king Satyavrat has come to be known as Shraddhadev, the son of Surya, Vavashvat, in the present kalpa. One day, Satyavrat was taking a bath in the river, when a small fish came in his folded palms. The fish requested the king to save her. So the king put the fish in kamandalu, coconut shell bowl. But in no time the fish grew too big to be accommodated in the kamandalu. So the king transferred the fish into another, bigger pot, but again it grew too big to be accommodated in the pot. The sequence continued till the fish outgrew even the big lake. So the king decided to put the fish in the sea. The fish, which was actually an incarnation of God, requested the king not to put it in a sea inhabited by fierce monsters. King Satyavrat grew suspicious. So with folded hands, the king requested the fish to appear in its real form. Instantaneously, Lord Narayana appeared and told the king, "Exactly on the 7th day from now, pralaya will inundate all the 3 lokas. But I will send a boat for you. You will board the boat and tether it to my horns with Vasuki, the Naga." Having received the information of deluge, the king began to wait for its arrival while reflecting on God's virtues. On the 7th day, dense clouds gathered in the sky and began to rain torrentially. Soon whole of the earth was inundated. The king Satyavrat found the boat sent by Lord. Boarding the boat, Satyavrat began to pray to God. At his prayers, Lord preached him the knowledge of metaphysical. Thereafter, the god killed the demon Hayagriva and recovered the Vedas. When Brahma awoke from his sleep, Lord handed the Vedas to him. Chapter 9 Description of the dynasty of Vavasvat. Manu. King Parikshit requested Shukdev to describe about the dynasty of his contemporary Manu, Shraddhadev. Shukdev said, "Parikshit, I describe about the dynasty of Manu in short because if I go in detail, it will not be completed in hundreds of years. Manu Shraddhadev was the son of Surya and Sandhya. Name of Manu's wife was Shraddha. They did not have any child initially, So they organized a Putrayashti Yagya under the auspices of their family teacher Vasishtha. But right amidst the proceedings, the queen Shraddha prayed the Brahmins to bless her for a female child. The Brahmins made offerings as per her wish. Consequently, a girl, instead of a boy, was born to them. She was named Ila. But the king requested Vasishtha to transform her into a boy. Vasishtha did the same, and the boy thus obtained was named as Sudyumna. Tale of Sudyumna. One day Sudyumna had gone on a hunting excursion. Riding the horse with his ministers, Sudyumna reached a forest at the foothills of Meru mountain. The forest was the nuptial abode of Lord Shiva and Mata Parvati. As soon as Sudyumna and his companions entered the forests, they all, even horses, got converted into females. Relating its reason, Sukdev said, once, Mata Parvati was sitting naked in the lap of Lord Shiva when suddenly some great sages arrived there to have a sight of Lord. Mata Parvati sunk with shyness and ran to don some cloth. When the sages saw that Gauri and Lord Shiva were enjoying intimacy, they moved at once to the hermitage of Narayana. Right at that moment, in order to please Mata Parvati, Lord Shiv said, "Accept me, any man who enters here, shall become a woman." It was because of these words of Lord Shiva, that Sudyumna and his companions were transformed into females. While Sudyumna was roaming as woman, Budh, the son of Chandra, fell in love with her and they agreed to get married. From their marriage, a son, Puruva, was born, who founded the town named Pratishthanpur. Sudyumna, in female form, prayed Lord Shiva to free him from woman incarnation. Lord Shiva blessed Sudyumna that he would be a man for a month and a woman for another. Thus this cycle would continue lifelong. Thereafter Sudyumna returned to the kingdom and began to rule it religiously. He got 3 sons in due course, Utkal, Gaya and Vimal. In the twilight of his life, Sudyumna gave his kingdom to Pururava and he took exile. Tale of Parishadru. After the exile of Sudyumna, Manu took to penance with a desire to have son. Pleased by his penance, Sri Hari blessed him to have 10 sons. Parishadru was the eldest of them. He was appointed in the service of the cows. One night in darkness, a tiger broke into the cowshed, causing a panic among the cows. Hearing the panicky noise of the cows, Parishadru ran to the cowshed. There he saw that the tiger had caught a cow, and she was bellowing in pain and fear. Parishadru at once ran to help, and with a powerful blow of the sword he beheaded the tiger. It was pitch dark in the cattle shed, so Parishadru could not see whom he had killed. In the morning he realized that he had killed the cow and not the tiger. He felt extremely sorry. Their family teacher cursed him to lead a life of a Shudra. Parishadru thereafter passed his life as a celibate and mingled with the Supreme Soul at last. Tale of Sharyati. Sharyati was the second son of Vavaswat Manu. He was a great scholar of Vedas. He had an extremely beautiful daughter named Sukanya. One day, King Sharyati was in the forests with his family. Thus roaming, they reached the hermitage of the sage Chyavan. Chyavan was immersed in deep meditation. His whole body was covered with termites' nests, only eyes were shining like fireflies. Out of curiosity, the princess Sukanya pricked those shining eyes of the sage with thorns. All the king's army fell in crisis by this incident. When the king learned about the prince's crime, he begged pardon of the sage Chyavan and gave the princess in his service and himself returned to his palace. In the forest, Sukanya served Chyavan with dedication. Chyavan received youth and vigor by the grace of Ashwini Kumar. Pleased by Sukanya's dedication, sage Chyavan provided her with all queenly luxuries. After many days, King Sharyati again visited the forests. There he saw Sukanya talking to a beautiful young prince. At first Sharyati scolded at Sukanya for violating the norms of a chaste woman. But Sukanya told him about the transformation of the sage Chyavan by the grace of Ashwini Kumar. Learning the reality, the king felt overjoyed to see his son-in-law Chyavan in youthful state. Tale of Ambarish. Shukdev says, Parikshit, Sharyati was the king Navag. His son was Navag. He was a great devotee of his parents. As a result of his service for his parents, Navag was very much comfortable. He had a son Ambarish who was a great devotee of Vishnu. Even the great wealth on earth had no value for Ambarish. The king Ambarish served the god with his own hands and remained immersed in his love. Once, Ambarish followed Nirjala Eklashiv Vrat, waterless fast observed on the 11th day of each phase of lunar month, for a year. During one such fast, on the 12th day, King Ambarish was about to break his fast, when sage Durvasa arrived there along with his 10,000 disciples. Welcoming him, the king requested Durvasa to accept food. But the sage turned down the request, saying that it was prayer time for him, so he would first go to take bath, then worship and take alms, food, ultimately. But the sage Durvasa did not return for long. Thus by the dictate of Brahmins, King Ambarish broke his fast with basil leaves and water. Just then sage Durvasa returned and saw Ambarish breaking his fast. So taking it as an insult, the infuriated Durvasa invoked Kritya in order to kill the king. King Ambarish stood unmoved, and begged pardon with folded hands. Lord Narayana saw his devotee in trouble and inspired his Sudarshan Chakra, wheel, to save the king. Sudarshan Chakra first incinerated Kritya, then aimed at sage Durvasa. When Durvasa saw Sudarshan aimed at him, he ran for his life. First he reached Brahma. But Brahma told him that he was not able to protect the person who had done harm to a devotee of God. Then Durvasa reached to Rudra. Lord Shiva also said, Durvasa, by the wish of Lord, Rudras are engaged in the service of the universe. This chakra is unstoppable by me. So you go to his refuge, only he can save you. From Lord Shiva's abode Durvasa reached Vaikuntha, the supreme abode of Lord Vishnu. He was feeling intense heat of the wheel. So, shivering with fear, he fell at the Lord's feet and said, O endless, you are the only venerable of all the saints. O Lord, I have committed a great crime against your devotee. O Lord, please save me. Seeing sage Durvasa in his refuge, Lord Vishnu said, Durvasa, I am bound to my devotee. I am not independent. As the devotees abdicate their everything to receive me, similarly I am also devoted to my devotee. So I too can't protect you. Go to the person who you wanted to hurt, and pray him. Only he can save you from the chakra. Thus, by the dictate of God, aggrieved Durvasa returned to the king Ambarish and fell at his feet. Ashamed of the sage act, King Ambarish prayed God, O Lord, if I had done any pious deed, may it be enough to calm you, and may the heat that torments this Brahmarishi quenched. Thus by the prayers of King Ambarish, Sudarshan was quietened and returned to its position on Lord's finger, and sage Durvasa recovered from his sufferings. He blessed the king and left. Description of Ikshvaku dynasty. Shukdev says, once Shraddhadev Manu sneezed violently. From his nostrils, a son was born. He was named Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku had 100 sons. Vikukshi, Nemi and Dandak were the eldest three of them. 1. Vikukshi, Once, Ikshvaku sent his eldest son Vikukshi to collect tubers for the offerings to be made to their ancestors. Vikukshi collected sacred shush tubers. But, he himself was feeling tired and hungry, so he ate one of them. He gave the remaining tubers to his father. King Ikshvaku gave those tubers to Guru Vasishtha for offering to the ancestors. Vasishtha informed the king that the tubers were defiled and not fit for offerings. Thus told by Vasishtha, Ikshvaku learned the deed of his son and expelled him out of his kingdom in anger. Vikukshi passed his life in exile and returned home only after the death of his father. He became famous as Shashag. 2. Purnajay. Purnajay was the son of Vikukshi. He is also famous as Indrava and Kakutst. A fierce battle had taken place between the gods and the demons. In the battle, the gods had sought the help from Purnajay. But Purnajay stipulated that he would fight only when Indra agreed to become his vehicle. From God's inspiration, Indra took the guise of a big and heavy ox and bore Purnajay on his back. When Purnajay rode on the ox and trained his divine bow and arrows, all the gods prayed to him. Since Purnajay had taken seat near ox's hump, he came to be known as Kakutst. Purnajay fought a fierce battle with the demons. Thus in no time Purnajay defeated the demons and captured their towns, wealth, luxuries and every other thing and gave them to Indra. Since Indra had acted as his vehicle, hence Purnajay is also known as Indrava. 3. Yuvnashva. In the lineage of Purnajay, had occurred a king named Yuvnashva. He had no son, so in desperation he gave up his kingdom and, accompanied by his queens, came to stay in the forest. There he organized a grand yagya, Indrayag, with a desire of a son and in the auspices of the great sages. The yagya lasted day and night. But during the yagya, Yuvnashva felt extremely thirsty and without giving a thought he drank some of the water from urn that had been sanctified with mantras. Since the water was meant to produce a child, Yuvnashva begot a child with auspicious signs. Immediately after birth the child began to cry for milk. So to quieten him Indra put his index finger in the child's mouth. Since then, the child got the name Mandata. Mandata became a great emperor. He was also known as Trastasuv because big robbers like Ravana had an inherent fear of him. Mandata had deep self-learnings, still he organized many grand yagyas. Mandata had 3 sons Purikuts, Ambarish, second, and Makund. He had 50 daughters also. All of them were married to the sage Saubhi. 4. Trishanku. In this lineage of Mandata there occurred a king named Satyavrat. He was renamed as Trishanku. Though by the curse of his father and the teacher, he had become a Chandal, an untouchable person, yet by the power of his penance, sage Vishwamitra helped him reach heaven with the body. But the jealous gods pushed down poor Satyavrat from the heaven. He was falling headlong while Maharishi Vishwamitra supported and fixed him in mid-sky, hence he got the name Trishanku. 5. Harishchandra. He was the son of Trishanku. For him, 2 great sages Vishwamitra and Vasishtha had cursed each other and acquired bird forms and kept on fighting for many years. Harishchandra had no son. With a desire to have a son, Harishchandra worshipped Varundev. By the grace of Varuna, he got a son named Rohit. Caught in the love for his son, Harishchandra forgot to organize yagya to pay his thanks to Varuna. Rohit too had fled to the forest to save his life when he learned that his father wished to sacrifice him. He stayed there for long. Back there in the kingdom, Harishchandra acquired a deadly disease of dropsy as a result of Varuna's anger. Having learned about his father's illness, Rohit tried 5 times to return to the kingdom, but every time Indra forbade him. Thus he stayed in the forest for 6 years. But in the 7th year he bought the middle son of a Jagat and took him to the kingdom to be used as a votive animal. There he handed the boy over to his father. Thereafter, King Harishchandra organized a grand yajna and pleased Varuna. Pleased by their unshakable faith in truthfulness, sage Vishwamitra blessed Harishchandra and his wife and preached them about metaphysical knowledge. 6. Saga. In the lineage of Rohit later on, had occurred a King Bahuk. Unfortunately, he met an untimely death. One of his widowed wife got ready to be immolated with her husband's pyre. She was pregnant then, so the sage Om prevented her from getting sati. When her fellow queens learned about her pregnancy, they fed her with poisoned food. But the poison proved ineffective on the unborn baby. The baby was born in due course with poison, so he came to be known as Saga. Saga had a great reputation as the king. He had 60,000 sons. He had also resolved to organize 100 Ashvamedh yajnas. His 99 yajnas completed without hassles, but during the 100th yajna, Indra stole the horse and tethered it in the hermitage of the sage Kapila. Saga's 60,000 sons set out in search of the horse, but could not find it anywhere on earth. At last, they reached the hermitage of the sage Kapila. Before that, with their enormous power, they had dug out huge pits, which filled with water and formed the sea. The sea derived its Hindi synonym Saga from Saga. When those 60,000 princes saw that the yajna horse was tethered in Kapila's hermitage, they began to abuse the sage. Disturbed by the noise, the sage Kapila opened his eyes, and instantaneously all the 60,000 princes got incinerated. It was Anshumana, the grandson of Saga, who pacified sage Kapila with his politeness and brought back the horse. He also discovered the ashes of his ancestors. Sage Kapila told Anshumana that the salvation of his ancestors would be possible only if touched by Gangaji, the sacred Ganges. Since then, all the kings in Saga's lineage observed severe penance to bring the Ganges on earth for the salvation of their ancestors. 7. Bhagirath. First of all, King Anshumana observed hard penance. But even after many years of penance he could not succeed in his efforts. His son Dilip also observed severe penance, but his efforts too could not succeed. Bhagirath was the son of Dilip. After Dilip, Bhagirath started severe penance. After many years of penance, Bhagirath succeeded in pleasing the Ganges. She appeared before him and asked him to seek a boon. Bhagiratha requested the Ganges to arrive on earth. The Ganges accepted his wish, but put a question as to who would support her when she fell on earth from the heaven. Bhagiratha then began his penance again to please Lord Shiva so that he could support the Ganges on earth. Lord Shiva accepted Bhagirath's praise and supported the Ganges on his head. Thereafter he moved on the path shown by Bhagirath with sacred Ganges following. Thus, the sacred Ganges reached at the place where ashes of Bhagirath's ancestors were lying. The holy waters of the Ganges washed the ashes to the confluence at Ganga Sagar. By the mere touch of Ganges holy water, Bhagirath ancestors received salvation. After Bhagirath many great kings like Miksa, Katwan, Dirbahu, Raghu etc. occurred in the Ikshvaku dynasty. Raghu's son was Aja and his son was Dashrath. It was in the home of King Dashrath, and by the prayer of the gods, that Lord Sri Hari took birth as 4 sons of Dashrath. 8. Description of Lord Rama's place. Shukdev says, Parikshit, to keep the words of his father, Lord Rama abdicated the entire kingdom and took exile in the forest. Staying in the forest, Lord Rama protected many sages and helped them complete their religious rituals successfully. He slayed many formidable demons there. But, for cutting the nose and ears of Supanaka, the sister of demon king Ravana, he had to bear the separation of his wife Sita. Rama had won Sita as his wife in a Swayamvar in Jankapur. In his teenage, sage Vishmatriya had taken Rama and Lakshmana with him to his hermitage to guard his religious proceedings against the demons. Rama and Lakshmana had killed many demons then. It was during this period that the Swayamvar was organized in Jankapur. Lakshmi, the better half of Lord Vishnu, had herself appeared as Sita in Jankapur. Sage Vishwamitra himself taken Rama and Lakshmana to the Swayamvar. Many more brave and strong kings and princes had gathered there. But no one could train the bow of Lord Shiva as per the condition of the Swayamvar. It was only Rama, who not only lifted the bow but trained it also. In the process of training, the bow broke with a loud noise. Thus Lord Rama won Sita as his wife. But during the exile, the demon king Ravana deceitfully abducted Sita to avenge the insult of his sister Shurpankhar. Thereafter, the circumstances favored Lord Rama and he soon found out the whereabouts of Sita. With a huge army of monkeys and bears, Lord Rama reached the seashore. There he prayed to the sea to make way for him. But the sea did not pay heed to his prayers, so angrily he got ready to evaporate the sea. Thus frightened, the sea revealed to him the way to make a bridge over it. Lord Rama then built a bridge over the sea and landed in Lanka. A fierce battle followed in which Lord Rama and Lakshman together slayed the demon king Ravana, his brother Kumbhakarna and Meghnad, the son of Ravana. Thus, they got Sita free from Ravana's captivity. Crowning Vibhishan, the brother of Ravana, as the king of Lanka, they returned to Ayodhya on Pushpak Vimana. Brahmarishis crowned Rama as the king of Ayodhya. All the three worlds became happier, healthier and wealthier. Bharata, Lakshmana, Shatrugna and Hanumanji stayed forever in the service of Lord Rama, always following the moral dictates and put an example for the world of high morals. As a king, Lord Rama also organized Ashwamedh Yagya. If you enjoyed this audiobook, please like and subscribe to be notified of when new audiobooks are uploaded. Thank you for listening and learning. Shanti.